Okay, I'm going to repeat all this again. So, this question, how Imam becomes Imam, this question is normally at the level of the Imam Shanafi. And on the journey of this knowledge, we are at the first level, which is the Ilm Shanafi, meaning the understanding and the importance of the Ilm, the true knowledge in our Tariqah. That's where we are today. The next level is Jamasana Shanafi, the understanding of our rites and rituals. And then at the third level of knowledge, you go to the Imam Shanafi. But this question is so beautiful. And because it's asked, we wanted to go ahead and cover this today. And we will cover again when we get to the Imam Shanafi level. So question is, how does Imam becomes Imam? As a Ismaili, we should know that. We should know that. And the answer that because Shah Karim is the grandson of Sultan Muhammad Shah, and because he wished him to be Imam, he became Imam. That is truth, but not a complete answer. So, how do we understand how Imam becomes Imam? And remember, we are not just talking about Shah Karim. We are talking about in general, how does Imam becomes Imam? For Imam to become Imam, it requires 5 things. 5 things. Out of those 5 things, first 2 are generic, last 2 are particular, and the one in the middle is one side is generic and the other side is particular. What does it mean, generic? Meaning that is common to the Mu'min and the Imam. But last 2 things are particularly for the Imam only. And one in the middle is for the Mu'min and the Imam. So it requires 5 things. So let's listen to those 5 things first, and then we will explain each one of those. So 2 generic things that Imam requires to become Imam is the love and the knowledge. Love and the knowledge. And those are generic. Last 2 things are the progeny and the will or farman of the previous Imam. Those are particular. One in the middle, which is generic on one side and particular for the Imam on the other side, is the Isme Azam. And I remember somebody said Isme Azam. There was just one of the 5 requirements for Imam to become Imam. Alright, so let's start from the bottom. 2 generic. Imam loves us just like he loves his children, including that child that's going to become the next Imam. That's why I said the love is the generic part. Matter of fact, sometimes Imam makes a statement that makes us feel so good that he even loves us more than his physical children. For example, in 1986, when Imam came to Houston, and if you guys were in America, you would remember that, he was there 2 days, 8 hours a day. 8 hours a day for 2 days in the Darbar Hall, in the Didar Hall. Not for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but for 8 hours each day for 2 days. Okay. So very first day when he came, Begum Salima was with the Imam. They came, the Tilawat was recited, Imam got to the mic and he did announcement that my children are in Boston, they are on vacation, and a mother wants to be with the children. So I will ask Begum Salima to go spend this time with their children. But then I said, Mullah was saying, I told her that I wanted to be with my spiritual children. Do we see how much Imam loves us? He'd rather be with us than with his own physical children. So he says, I'm going to let her go to be with her children, and I'm going to stay with my children. Meaning the Jamaat. That's how much he loves us. And remember those 3 or 4 children and 3 children at that time, or 2 children at that time. It may include one of the child to be Imam, the next Imam. But that's how he shows the love for the Jamaat. So the love part is generic, but a previous Imam shows love to that special child who's going to be the next Imam. And some of the stories or some of the event that has taken place between Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah and Shah Karim, we will share so we can see how he shows his love towards the Shah Karim. Okay. Second was knowledge. The previous Imam gives knowledge to the upcoming Imam, just like he gives knowledge to us, his spiritual children. So that part is also generic. He gives us the same love and affection and the knowledge as he does to the next upcoming Imam. So that part is also generic. What kind of knowledge we are talking about? His spiritual knowledge. His spiritual knowledge. He shares with us and he gives to us as he would with his son or grandson in this case, who is going to become an Imam. So there is also a generic part which we share from the Imam with next upcoming Imam. The third one was Ismi Azam. And I said this is generic on one side and particular on the other side. Now this part some of you may not know about this. Imam gives Ismi Azam to us. As well he gives Ismi Azam to that son or grandson who is going to become Imam. What makes generic and special? That Imam gives his own Ismi Azam to his son or grandson who is going to become the Imam. That makes it special and particular from Imam, a previous Imam, to upcoming next Imam. He also gives us Ismi Azam, but he gives his own Ismi Azam. And somebody may start to have a question about that. A special Ismi Azam to his son or grandson who is going to be the next Imam. Okay? That's what makes this Ismi Azam, the middle portion, generic on one side and particular or special on the other side. It's common on one side and special on the other side. Okay. Next two things that makes special for the Imam only. And again, once we talk about this, you will see how those two things are special. Progeny. Meaning, Nuran ala Nur, the law of the Quran. Only Imam can be a son or for the progeny of the previous Imam. Meaning no one can claim to be Imam. No one. Unless he is from the progeny of the previous Imam. Even though we are the spiritual children, because we do not have, or we are not the direct descendant of Mawla Ali, or direct descendant of the present Imam, then even if through this Ismi Azam we reach that level of Fanafi Imam, we cannot claim to be Anarhaq or the Imam. We can't. Because the condition, the fourth condition, the condition of Nuran ala Nur, the progeny is not there. So that is very important for Imam to become Imam. In our history, we have seen, even when there is a progeny, there has been people or the children of the Imam who has claimed false Imamat. So they didn't have the fourth conditions met, including the fourth one, the progeny. They had the love, they had the knowledge, they had the ismiazam, and the progeny, but they were not barhaq Imam. To make this Imam barhaq, they required fifth condition. And the fifth condition is the amr, the farman, the will of the previous Imam toward the next Imam. So even if they have four, including the progeny, if they don't have the will of the farman of the current and previous Imam, they cannot become the Imam. So, if there were more than one son of the Imam, the son with the four condition plus the Amr will become the next Imam. So I'm going to go back and explain a little bit more of these things, okay? The love that Imam, or the current Imam, shows to the upcoming Imam is a very special bond between current Imam and the next Imam. There is a saying that when Mata Salamat would enter into a room where Shah Karim and Imam Sultan Muhammad Shah would be talking, they will start talking. While she is there, they will not say anything. And she will feel that they were talking about something special. And she will leave the room. And as soon as she will leave the room, they will start talking. So what previous Imam was doing with the new Imam, he was sharing his love and the knowledge with the next Imam. And remember, this is special love and special knowledge that is sharing. But if a moment who has received the Ismi Azam from the Imam, and if you practice that Ismi Azam the way he is supposed to practice that Ismi Azam, then Imam also shared the love and the knowledge with that moment too. Because he is his spiritual son, and spiritual children, so they may also can come as close to the Imam as anything else, meaning they can become one with the Imam. And the only way you can become one with the Imam, if you have the love of the Imam, special, the knowledge of the Imam, the true special knowledge of the Imam, and the Ismi Azam. But the Ismi Azam that Imam gives to that son who's going to become Imam, that is a special Ismi Azam. That is a Ismi Azam that his father has given to him. Now he's giving it to his son, in this case, his grandson. That's a special Ismi Azam he gives. And that makes him special. So we're going to go back a little bit further, or back. Let's say Sultan Muhammad Shah has given the Ismi Azam to two of his sons, Prince Ali Khan and Prince Azruddin. He has also given the Ismi Azam to at least two of his sons, a grandson, the Shah Karim and Prince Amin Muhammad. But Shah Karim must have received that special Ismi Azam that Sultan Muhammad Shah's father has given to him. And Ali Shah's father has given to him. And Hasan Ali Shah's father has given to him. He gives the special Ismi Azam, the Ismi Azam of the Imam to the next Imam. And that makes him special from that point onward. Someone can ask, how long does it take the next Imam to complete and finish his Ismi Azam? When Imam gives us Ismi Azam, it may take us 40 days, it may take us a year, 7 years, 40 years, lifetime. But when Imam gives that Ismi Azam, the special Ismi Azam, to that son who's going to be the next Imam, he practiced and completed their Ismi Azam within 40 days. Why 40 days? Maybe only 7 days. How? How does he do that? Because that special Ismi Azam is called Nur-e-Fahal. We all know the meaning of Nur. Fahal means two things. उर्दू के अंदर बहुत तेज चलने वाला और बहुत ज्यादा चलने वाला. It runs fast and abundantly, quantity wise भी and quality wise भी. ये वो नूर है जो उसको इसमें आजम के अंदर मिलता है.
So in Urdu the spelling is Fe and Alif Lam Fa'al.
नूर फाल. बहुत तेज, फास्ट, abundantly, क्वांटिटी के अंदर बहुत ज्यादा, बहुत तेजी से चलने वाला और बहुत ज्यादा चलने वाला. जब वो when imams get that इसमें आजम, it runs so fast for him and then he goes through it in abundantly quantity that he finishes their ismi azam within 7 days or 40 days. What does that, what we just learned? That imams become imams early on. As soon as he receives the ismi azam, he becomes the imam. But does he announce his imamat? No, why not? Because 4 conditions are met. Remember the 5th condition? Is not there yet. It's not there yet. When does he get that amr? On the last day. He knows he is already imam. The previous imam knows he is the imam. But until the day comes, until the amr comes, he is not the imam. Is that for him or is that for us? It's for us. For him, he already knows he is the imam. He has already completed his ismi azam. He has already received his nur. I'm going to stop right there. He has received his nur. Does that mean the previous imam is void of nur? No. Because nur is omnipresent. It's in the present imam and the next upcoming imam. Both के अंदर nur है. Why? Because they are one now. Physically there are 2 bodies. But nur is one at that point. He already knows imam. It's just for us. So we can do the bayat of the next imam. So Amr comes and says, so and so will be your next imam. And when that happens, Imam makes his first farman. That's the first time we say, so and so is our imam now, and then we take the bayat of that imam. So that's how an imam becomes imam. Now we have a complete understanding. Remember, this is at the level of Imam Shanafi. Okay? So as we go through the ilm Shanafi, the learning the importance and need of the true knowledge, we will understand this, what we just talked about, more and more and more. And when we go through the Jamazana Shanafi, we will really start to understand the love and the knowledge and the Ismi Azam at that level. Then when we go to Imam Shanafi, this will be our first class of Imam Shanafi when we will talk about this again.
Is there other siblings knows that, he's going to be next imam within them?
I want to share something before you answer. So in 1951, Hazrat Imam and Prince Amin Muhammad went to Africa, if I'm not wrong, Uganda. And guess what Hazrat Imam did? Hazrat Imam gave Ismi Azam there.
1951.
1951.
Remember, he was not imam yet.
He was not. Nope. Does that answer your question?
Yes. And I have one more question.
Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. In Syria and those kind of particular countries where when Imam moved all the way to the Indo-Pak that time, Hassan Maulana
Shali
Shah and Sultan Muhammad Shah, so there was no Imam there physically, so there was no Ismail Azam there within that Jamaat. But when we see that Jamaat, we see their level, like, if we are compared, like, I'm a very comparative person. I don't judge them, but I'm very comparative. So when I see myself and when I see them, and I feel like, their spirituality is way above, beyond higher than me. Even though if I have a Ismail Azam, but still I feel like, I'm just a dust. But they have, their levels is way above them. And if the Imam is not there, so what is the thing which is going on with their spiritualism that higher than us as the Indo-Pak people, like our Desi people, or like Khojas people.
Yeah.
So Imam wasn't there, so there would be no Ismail Azam. But what was there?
No, did they still get Ismail Azam? Because I feel like they still...
Her question was that Imam did not come to Indo-Pak or to Khoja Jamaat until Imam Hassan Ali Shah. So how they were so elevated? Alright. Remember, the Ismail Azam, or the giving the Ismail Azam to the Jamaat, was also done by Peers and Dais with the farman of the Imam of the time. Just like the example she gave, whose farman did Hazrat Imam give Ismail Azam to the African Jamaat in 1951? Imam's farman. Prince Ali Khan also gave Ismail Azams with the farman of Imam of the time. So giving the Ismail Azam or receiving the Ismail Azam is not always directly from the Imam, but always with the farman and the amr of the Imam. So they were receiving the Ismail Azam through other sources. And because they believed in the Imam and his farman, they were able to use that Ismail Azam and elevate themselves. And what Alia was asking, how do we practice Ismail Azam? Because there's already so many lectures recorded, we will just share with whoever wanted to listen to those. Okay, that was your question.
Any other question? Okay.
Comment and question. So I know you said that even when the Imam physically might not have been there, that there was a way of conveying Ismail Azam to whoever was seeking, maybe through a peer or maybe Khalifas of local place, I mean Khalifa in our tradition, right?
Mm-hmm.
But let's say that hypothetically that didn't happen, meaning there's no one to give physically Ismail Azam to Murid. At a higher level of thinking, is it not true to say that if a Murid wants to, even today, but has not had a chance to go to, let's say, Didar yet, or Ismail Azam, whatever it is, if with true knowledge, meaning if they're sincerely seeking and they've read the books and materials and they understand Imam Shanasi at the high level, because our Dais have written about what the Imam's reality is. And if you know, because earlier I read that the Harat passage where it said, Pir Nasir Krishna said that the Imam at the time is the name of God, right? So the name of the Ismail Azam is actually the name of the Imam. The current, not his name, but his reality, that he exists, that we know who the Imam is. With that type of love, with that walayat and ilm, cannot that not work as Ismail Azam in your ibadat? If you haven't received Ismail Azam, let's say physically, but you do ibadat with that name, can that not substitute?
So, let's go back to Imam Sulman, learn from the history. Alright. So 70 years of Soviet Union, complete lockdown. How many generations would have gone by in 70 years? At least 3. 18 years each generation. So at least 3 generations, maybe even close to 4 generations of complete lockdown. But when those Mominins came out, those Ismaili appeared from the Soviet Union, Tajikistan and all the Russia. And if you look at them and look at their Iman and look at where they were, you can tell each one of them have Ismail Azam. They were elevated soul, how? Meaning there is a way of Imam to give Ismail Azam to his murid. For us, there is a limit, a physical limit. We cannot get to the Imam physically. For Imam, There is no limit. There is no boundary. There is nothing stopping Imam from coming to you and giving you Ismi Azam. So there are ways. One, what he talked about was at the Ilmul Yaqeen level. If you understand the Imam and recognize the Imam, then Imam's name is your Ismi Azam. But that's at the Ilmul Yaqeen level. But Imam can come in your dream and in your ibadat. And he can give you Ismi Azam Batini from the within you. And once you receive that, you will have no doubt. And you can recite the Ismi Azam, you can complete the Ismi Azam, just as Imam from his Mukh Mubarak physically had come and given you Ismi Azam. He can do that, definitely. And that's what happened to Jamaat, and that's what's happening, not happened. It can happen today, and it is happening, and it will happen in future too. To those Jamaat, for whatever reason, they cannot reach the Imam's door physically. Then Imam has a way to get to him Batini, or spiritually level. Ji.
Is that, sorry, just a brief comment if I may. That is what started Nasipi Nasir's journey. When he was looking for something, he said, go to the west.
Ji.
And that's how guidance, what we talked about, how does Imam give guidance?
Ji. Ji.
The reason why I bring it up though is because if it's true that with ilm yaqeen and true understanding of Imam, that can work as Ismi Azam for you, I don't want to say that puts it at a higher level than the verbal Ismi Azam, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying is that if that's the case, then how much more so should we be incorporating that knowledge if we've been given Ismi Azam verbally? Because I feel like sometimes there's a maybe a fear, not a fear, but like you're worried for sometimes you hear people say, oh, if you take Ismi Azam, that's your shortcut to the spirituality. Which I don't like the word shortcut here because it sometimes implies that if you just have Ismi Azam, you just do it and you'll get there. And people practice for the whole lifetime maybe. But without getting the knowledge, without understanding deeper realities of Imam, is that the way to do it or not? No, right? I would say that you have to, especially if you've been given Ismi Azam, the way to unlock it is through the search. Of course you do the ibadah, but you have to be learning of what Imam's reality is. And he even says, to focus on the meaning of Ismi Azam, not just to repetition, but what the meaning is. If you don't know what the meaning is, and deeper meaning, how we suggest like with dua, it's not the translation of Ismi Azam, but what does it really mean to you? And requires lots of sources of knowledge, each one building upon. That's what I would say the practice of Ismi Azam really should be.
So look at why do we go to Imam physically when he can give to us Batini?